Chapter 61 Diary Invitation Card. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Since the reward has nothing to do with the number of words, I'll just write this for today. Apart from Ling Yuan coming to see me, nothing happened yesterday. Dear beauties, see you tomorrow. Wu Xing's diary today is very short, which can meet the requirements of the diary system, but there is really nothing to write about and nothing to complain about. Is this how you end today? Ling Yuan couldn't help but be surprised when she saw that Wu Xing was so short and weak. Wu Xing rolled his eyelids. What else? It seems you can't do it either. Ling Yuan smiled, hearing Ling Yuan's teasing. Wu Xing responded expressionlessly, then do you want to record your seduction of me so that everyone can admire me, that this royal sister really treats him as a little virgin? If I hadn't seen you injured and my strength was temporarily inferior to you, I wouldn't have allowed you to be so presumptuous in front of me. No. Don't. Ling Yuan's expression changed and she immediately surrendered. What a joke, if the other party spreads the news about her seducing him, he will die on the spot. She had no doubt that Wu Xing dared to do this. Even though there are many women who have copies of the diary, they have the idea of seducing each other, but speaking out in public and doing it in private are completely different concepts, and they will become the target of public criticism. Seeing that Ling Yuan gave up, Wu Xing ignored her and communicated with the system to receive the reward. Ding. It is detected that the system has updated a diary and will be rewarded with a diary invitation card. Note, the diary invitation card can invite any female character in the comic that has been ignored by the system to have a copy of the diary. What the hell? Wu Xing originally didn't expect today's rewards to be very good. After all, this ghost system already had Durex balloons and alpine lollipops. It wouldn't be surprising to have something new. But he never expected that the system would give him a special reward today. Yes, in Wu Xing's opinion, this is a very special reward. Isn't it special to be able to invite any female character in the comic to hold a copy of the diary? Of course, the most important thing is that Su Ruoxi does not have a copy of the diary, so he can make up for his regrets. Ling Yuan and Su Ruoxi, who were standing next to them, suddenly saw Wu Xing losing his composure. They were startled, but they soon thought of something. With hopeful eyes on their faces, they couldn't wait to ask, Wu Xing, husband, what reward did you get? That if you can make the other party lose their composure and scream in exclamation, is it possible that you will get a reward as incredible as the resurrection spell? Wu Xing did not answer, but looked at Su Ruoxi, his face full of joy. Husband, what's wrong? Su Ruoxi asked suspiciously when she saw that Wu Xing didn't speak. Without saying anything, Wu Xing picked up the girl's face and kissed her hard before letting go. Hubby, Sister Ling Yuan is here. Su Ruoxi's face turned red and she was extremely shy due to Wu Xing's hand. Ling Yuan never thought that this guy would show affection to his girlfriend in front of her, and she was a little confused for a moment. It doesn't matter what she does. Wu Xing glanced at Ling Yuan and said calmly, this is my room. What does it have to do with me kissing my girlfriend? When Su Ruoxi heard this, her face turned even redder. She was right, but she couldn't let outsiders around. When Ling Yuan heard this, she was so angry that her teeth hurt. It really didn't matter, but don't you think it's too much for you to influence others like this? Don't you know how much trauma it will cause to a woman who has not been in love for decades? Husband, did you get any good rewards? Su Ruoxi asked again in order to prevent her man from continuing. Wu Xing nodded, and then said, but this reward is not for me, but for you. Me? Su Ruoxi didn't understand what her man said. Yes. Wu Xing smiled and nodded, then took out a card from the copy of the diary and clicked to use it. Ding. Please host choose the woman to invite. Wu Xing did not hesitate and chose OK to Su Ruoxi. In an instant, the card turned into stars and poured into Su Ruoxi's body. At the same time, a mechanical voice came from Su Ruoxi's mind. Ding. Congratulations, you have obtained Wu Xing diary. You can open the diary and check it by saying silently in your heart. Hearing the system voice coming from her mind, Su Ruoxi was startled for a moment, then tears of excitement flashed across her eyes, and the next second she threw herself into her man's arms. Husband, thank you, you are so kind to Ruoxi. Su Ruoxi's voice was choked with sobs. but she was happy. If her biggest wish before was not to improve her strength or become a titled Douluo, what she wanted most was a copy of the diary. Every time she saw her man talking about the copy of the diary with Sister Yan Yan and Sister Lingling, she felt extremely envious and extremely disappointed. Even if her husband agrees to tell her the contents of every diary update, without the interaction, it is as if there is a chasm between them, and she will inevitably overthink it. The same was true just now. Seeing the interaction between Sister Lingyuan and her lover, she also wanted to participate, but she couldn't find any opportunity to intervene. As the other person's woman and the first woman in the other person's world, no matter how much she loves her, she will always feel that there is always a thorn hanging in her throat, making it difficult for her to let go. Now that she has a copy of the diary, she will no longer feel lost or wronged because of it. Everything can be vented at this moment. Okay, don't cry. Wu Xing patted Su Ruashi's back and said comfortingly, he has always loved his woman. Although he is a scumbag and a playboy, he treats her sincerely. After hearing this, Su Ruashi responded with a choked voice, and then slowly left her man's arms. After letting go, Su Ruashi found Sister Lingyuan looking at her with a smile. She quickly lowered her head shyly and wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes. It took a while before he dared to raise his head. Seeing Su Ruashi who had recovered, Wu Xing smiled and joked, my husband is so kind to you, don't you have anything to repay? Husband. Su Ruashi was embarrassed, glanced at Lingyuan, and then replied softly, tonight, Ruashi will do everything for you. Huh, you said that. Wu Xing laughed immediately after hearing this. When Lingyuan next to her saw this, she felt even worse, and her injuries were showing signs of getting worse. I'm so angry. These two guys really treated her like a dog and sprinkled her with dog food. Can you guys be considerate of me as a wounded person? Lingyuan glared at Wu Xing bitterly. Su Ruashi's face turned red and she said at a loss, Sister Lingyuan, let's add a friend. Looking at the somewhat confused Su Ruashi, Lingyuan couldn't get angry, opened a copy of her diary, and added her as a friend. Of course, she also added Wu Xing's friends conveniently. Well, it was just convenient. Sister Yu also has the arrogance of Sister Yu. Okay, I've added a friend. You can recover here. Ruashi and I will go back to the world of two first. Seeing this, Wu Xing made a joke and took Su Ruashi away from here without waiting for the other party to recover. Asshole. Lingyuan watched Wu Xing and Su Ruashi leave the room and patted the bed hard. Hiss. This exertion was painful, and she felt that the ribs on her chest were loosened. Chapter 62 Separation, 3 Updates. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 1 week has passed in a blink of an eye. During this week, Wu Xing spent the morning practicing mimicry, and in the afternoon he and Su Ruashi went to see Lingyuan. I feel free to update my diary by the way. After a week of training, the entire team also had an initial tacit understanding, and Wu Xing's soul power increased by another level, reaching level 33. This made Su Ruashi marvel at her man's talent. The innate level 30 soul power was so terrifying. About 10 days have passed since she absorbed the fairy grass, and it will still take several days before she reaches level 40 soul sect. Of course, with a copy of the diary, she doesn't have to worry too much about not being able to keep up with her man. Through the rewards given by the dungeon, she more or less got some training cards that doubled or tripled the speed. It's just that I haven't used it yet, and I plan to wait until the team training is over to enter the auxiliary system to practice hard in mimicry alone, and break through the soul master stage in one fell swoop. After Su Ruashi got the copy of the diary, Wu Xing also knew that his rewards were completely different from those of the holders of the diary copy. He has never gotten anything like training cards, martial soul fragments, or soul bone fragments. Similarly, Su Ruashi never got the messy stuff like Wu Xing's previous life, as well as teleportation and resurrection skills. For this reason, he also asked Lingyuan, Dugu Yan, Ye Lingling, and Shrek, and the results he obtained were the same. As for the golden legend of the holder of the diary copy, he even called the system a good guy. The rewards every day were from different worlds. After half a month, no world was the same. This made him wonder how much the system was gaming, and it was simply unbecoming of a human being. Today was like usual. After training in mimicry, she went to the cafeteria to have a meal. When she returned, Su Ruoxi gave Ling Yuan a helping. After a week of getting along, the relationship between the two women is like that of biological sisters. One is called a sister, and the other is called a sister. Back in the dormitory, Ling Yuan had already gotten up. She could move around normally on the third day, but she just stayed in the dormitory to avoid trouble. Sister Ling Yuan, Ruoxi is back with lunch for you. Su Ruoxi came to Ling Yuan with a smile and put the lunch box in front of her. Ling Yuan thanked him with a smile, opened it generously, and ate it with relish. At this time, Wu Xing would usually update his diary, but he saw that the other party seemed to be planning to leave, so he did not take any action, but asked, "Are you planning to return to the spirit hall?" "Yeah." Ling Yuan nodded, not hiding anything. She has fully recovered now and cannot stay here forever. She must go back and report to the Pope. Although the past few days were the most relaxing days she had ever had, and she could chat with Su Ruoxi and listen to that guy Wu Xing's boasting, she was still the elder of Wuhuan Hall after all. "Sister Ling Yuan, are you leaving?" Su Ruoxi said with some reluctance. She was particularly close to the titled Douluo sister, perhaps because both of them were sidekicks, and there was a feeling of sympathy for each other. "Yes." Ling Yuan smiled at Su Ruoxi and said, "My sister has recovered from her injury. It's time to return to Wuhuan City." "When are you leaving?" Wu Xing asked casually. Ling Yuan thought about it and said, "In the afternoon." "Oh." Wu Xing said, but didn't say anything. "Why, you can't bear to leave your sister?" Ling Yuan joked. Faced with her teasing, Wu Xing was not surprised. In the past few days, the other party had often tried to seduce him. He rolled his eyelids and said angrily, "If you want to leave, leave quickly." Ling Yuan was not angry. She took out a golden card from the soul guide and placed it in front of Wu Xing. Then she chuckled and said, "That won't work. You haven't sold your sister the fairy grass yet. She is also very greedy for fairy grass, and even if she reaches the level of a titled Douluo, she can still play a big role. Your martial spirit is the fire spirit Yuan, right?" Wu Xing took the golden card and asked politely. "Yes." Ling Yuan nodded. She had never used her martial spirit in front of the other party, but Wu Xing knew it and was not surprised. After hearing this, Wu Xing searched the diary warehouse, then took out a red fairy grass and placed it on the table. "This flaming apricot is the fairy grass that suits your martial spirit." Looking at the flaming apricot in front of her, even though Ling Yuan was prepared, she was still very surprised. She could feel the flame contained in it. "Then thank you, sister." Ling Yuan happily put the fairy grass into her soul guide. "Exactly." Wu Xing curled his lips, and then said, "I just say it. I've been saying this for several days, but I haven't taken any actual actions. You still owe me a life." Hearing Wu Xing's words, a smile appeared on Ling Yuan's face. Then, when the other party was stunned, she directly moved her face towards him, and her flaming red lips were printed on the other party's mouth. Fuck. Wu Xing felt as if he was struck by lightning. He was forcibly kissed by a woman. But before he could recover, Ling Yuan had already loosened her red lips and chuckled. "Now, are you satisfied?" "Not satisfied." Wu Xing replied shamelessly. He didn't even have time to taste it, so he couldn't be satisfied. After hearing this, Ling Yuan was very angry. "This is my sister's first kiss." "First kiss? Just you?" Wu Xing looked at the other party suspiciously, obviously not believing what she said. "This woman behaves like an old driver, and how old is she? Is this the first time? What look in your eyes do you think my sister will lie to you?" Ling Yuan's face turned dark. This little man, who was so obedient after getting an advantage, actually doubted her words. Wu Xing straightened his expression and said seriously, "Whether you lied to me or not, you won't know until you try." "How to try, Ling Yuan asked subconsciously, but her pupils dilated in the next second. She was a dignified titled Douluo, but she was actually kissed by a little soul lord. Wu Xing is not the one who suffers the consequences. If you force yourself to kiss me, then you have to force yourself to kiss me back. This is only fair, and she was even more wanton. sticking out her tongue and giving her a French kiss, which shocked Su Ruoxi next to her. Is my man so brave? He even dares to kiss Sister Ling Yuan. As for Ling Yuan, she was completely confused and didn't know how to fight back. She was stupidly asked for anything by the other party, although she usually displayed a variety of charms, mature and attractive, and even took the initiative to kiss the other party just now. She was a genuine chick. She could not withstand Wu Xing's offensive, and she was quickly pried open and fell. After finally reacting, he wanted to push the other person away, but Wu Xing was already prepared and had already let go and took a few steps back, keeping a safe distance. This is indeed the first time. Wu Xing, who pulled away, did not forget to tease. Ling Yuan's chest was rising and falling with anger. Is this how you test your feelings? In order to prevent herself from appearing to be manipulated by this little man, she could only swallow her anger and gritted her teeth. Little man, sister will remember you. Wu Xing didn't take Ling Yuan's threat seriously at all. What a joke, since he dares to do this, he is not afraid of being retaliated and comes back. Give him some time, and when the time comes, let alone kiss, he will ride. Readers shout out, there are more than 30 people, for updates today. Chapter 63 Dugu Yan is in action, 4 updates. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Wu Xing, why don't you join us? Half a month had passed since Ling Yuan left. Dugu Yan and Ye Lingling went to the Star Do Forest to help the team members obtain the 4th soul ring. As soon as they came back, they immediately approached Wu Xing. After nearly 20 days of not seeing each other, Dugu Yan had endured enough and had to express his feelings to Wu Xing. Originally, both parties had a friend list, and they could communicate with each other without any hindrance even though they were thousands of miles apart. However, every time she took the initiative to send a message, the other party only replied with words like, The only time the other party took the initiative was to ask about the reward for a copy of her diary, which made her extremely uncomfortable. After all, she was a great beauty, attracting much attention in Tianheng Royal Academy. She was sought after by many students, and the number of suitors was unknown, but for such a beautiful woman, she takes the initiative to chat with you, but she has no intention of being tempted at all. You can imagine the emotional gap. Later, he learned from a copy of the diary that another beautiful woman appeared next to him, a titled Douluo, which made Dugu Yan even more nervous. She knew that guy liked old women. If it were a little later, he might not even have a place. For this reason, as soon as he returned to the college, he immediately went to find Wu Xing without even going to the education committee, which he should have consulted with his tutor. It's just that this girl is used to being straightforward and doesn't know how to express herself, so it turns into a question. Why don't you join you? Looking at the angry Dugu Yan, who could still smell the dusty aura from her body, Wu Xing was surprised that he didn't come. This little girl went to the Star Do Forest and came back. The panda was a bit bigger, but her speech became incomprehensible. Seeing that Wu Xing seemed to have completely forgotten what happened before, Dugu Yan said angrily, Didn't the education committee arrange for you to join the first team of Tianheng Royal Academy some time ago? Why don't you come? Why should I go? After hearing this, Wu Xing couldn't help but suddenly realized, and immediately said with a smile. Dugu Yan opened his mouth, wanting to say something, but found that he didn't know how to answer. After a while, Dugu Yan, who couldn't find any words, hummed, If you are worried about Sister Ruoxi, you can bring her with you. Wu Xing looked at Dugu Yan as if he were a fool. What the hell, is the Tianheng Royal Academy run by his family? Just take people if you say you will take them. Of course, this is just thinking about it. Even if the education committee agrees, he can't agree. Otherwise, if he becomes a seeded team and directly advances, how can he slap Tang San in the face in the competition and prevent that guy from showing off? Why are you willing to come? Dugu Yan gritted his teeth again when he saw that Wu Xing was silent. Wu Xing looked at the girl speechlessly, shook his head and said, I won't join the first team. Why? Dugu Yan paused and felt very uncomfortable. Aren't he and Lingling beautiful? Why do they have to be with those old women? There is no reason. If you are capable and can join the second team, I will applaud you. Wu Xing didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He didn't know why this little girl was so determined to join the first team. Do you mean what you said? Dugu Yan's eyes lit up, as if a new door had opened. When Wu Xing heard this, he was dumbfounded. He just said it casually. Do you really take it seriously? But considering the environment of Tianheng Royal Academy, he couldn't help but smile and said, of course. Okay, just wait, I'll go find Grandpa right now. After Dugu Yan finished speaking, he turned around. At this moment, not to mention Wu Xing, even Ye Lingling and Su Ruoxi were dumbfounded, shocked by the other's decisiveness. No, I'm kidding you. Do you really want to join the second team? Seeing that Dugu Yan was about to leave and looked like he was looking for his grandfather, Wu Xing said quickly. I'm not kidding you. Dugu Yan replied seriously, and then left in a hurry. Seeing this, Ye Lingling smiled bitterly and told Wu Xing to follow him quickly. Looking at Dugu Yan going away, Wu Xing didn't come back to his senses for a long time. Why is this little girl so crazy? What's the point of coming to the second team if she doesn't wait for the first team? Hubby, Sister Yan Yan really likes you. Su Ruoxi on the side said the reason. She likes me. Wu Xing was slightly startled, and then a strange look appeared on his face. The reason why he didn't think about it was because Dugu Yan was interested in Tianheng in the anime, wasn't he? What's going on now? Is there another butterfly effect? The other side, after Ye Lingling followed Dugu Yan, she couldn't help but ask, Sister Yan Yan, are you really looking for Senior Dugu? Of course. Dugu Yan nodded without thinking, and then said, Lingling, you also know that guy's situation, and I also know that you also like him. If we don't hurry up, do you think that guy will be there again in the future? Will you like us? Ye Lingling's face turned slightly red when Dugu Yan revealed her thoughts, but she did not deny it. Moreover, as Wu Xing, she knew that Sister Yan Yan was right. There were many holders of copies of the diary who had thoughts about him. If he didn't pay close attention, when there were more beauties around him, he might not be able to find a place. Will Senior Dugu agree? Ye Lingling asked with both hope and worry. Although Senior Dugu is a title Douluo, it is not that easy for him to intervene in the Tianheng Royal Academy's team allocation. The main reason is that several members of a team have been training together for 2 years. Suddenly 2 members are separated, which will have a huge impact on the entire team that has been cultivated with great difficulty, especially since the elite competition of the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy is coming soon. Don't worry, Grandpa will definitely be able to do it. Dugu Yan said decisively. She told her grandfather about Wu Xing's talent. As long as she asked, her grandfather would spare no effort to assign her to the second team. She is his only granddaughter. How can a grandfather not care about his granddaughter's happiness? Seeing Sister Yan Yan's confident look, Ye Lingling was a little surprised. She knew Dugu Yan. Although she was usually more straightforward and a little undisciplined in her practice, she was not the kind of person who was completely without ideas. As if seeing Ye Lingling's surprise, Dugu Yan said, Lingling, what is the most important thing in Tianheng Royal Academy? Honor. Ye Lingling said without thinking. If we join the second team, what do you think the results of the Continental Advanced Academy Soul Master Elite competition will be like? Dugu Yan said with a smile. Ye Lingling, who heard this, looked at Dugu Yan in surprise and did not answer, but he already understood her plan. In fact, the fact that the 2 of them joined the second team has nothing to do with the results of the competition. Wu Xing alone can easily win the championship, which she is convinced of, but others don't know, and neither does the education committee. If Senior Dugu uses his reputation to make a guarantee that if they join the Tianheng second team, they can achieve the first honor for the academy and the empire, I'm afraid they will all agree. Sister Yan Yan, you are as wise as you are foolish. Ye Lingling couldn't help but admire, something even she had not expected. It has to be said that my grandfather, who has the title of Douluo, is also a guest minister of the Tianheng Empire. He has been exposed to these political matters since he was a child, and he does have unique insights into these political matters. Chapter 64 Ye Lingling confesses his love. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Early morning, Wu Xing and Su Ruoxi went to the cafeteria to finish breakfast and arrived at the meeting place as usual. Looking at the 7 students who were already waiting, he didn't pay attention. He said hello and waited quietly, but as time passed slowly, Wu Xing's brows gradually began to frown. According to the previously agreed time, the instructor should arrive, but now, not only did instructor Yu Feng not show up, but there were even 2 members missing from the original 11. Well, where are brothers Xuehui and Lin Bin? Why haven't they come yet? Yes, it's already time. Even instructor Yu Feng didn't show up. Did something happen? I haven't heard any news. The 7 team members also noticed the problem, asked each other, and started whispering. While everyone was confused, Yu Feng's figure appeared in the distance, followed by 2 people, but what surprised them was that the people behind their mentor were not Xuehui and Lin Bin. Wu Xing opened his mouth slightly when he saw the 2 figures behind Yu Feng. Although he had some guesses just now, when he saw them, his heart still beat hard. These 2 figures were none other than Dugu Yan and Ye Lingling. Yu Feng came to the crowd, glanced at the students, and then said slowly, after the decision of the Education Committee, some adjustments have been made for this continent-wide Advanced Soul Master Academy competition. Dugu Yan and Ye Lingling will come to your team. The original Xuehui and Lin Bin have been transferred to the same team. Welcome the new team members. What? As soon as Yu Feng's words came out, everyone except Wu Xing and Su Ruoxi exclaimed in surprise. When they saw the 2 girls just now, they thought the first team was here to communicate with the second team, but they never expected that they would join their team. Looking at the shocked students, Yu Feng was not surprised. When he got the notice last night, he also looked in disbelief. Dugu Yan and Ye Lingling are both the mainstays of the first team. Although joining the second team can improve the overall strength of the team, it also reduces the strength of the first team a lot. Logically speaking, the Education Committee would only make such an arrangement unless its brain was kicked by a donkey. After all, what the team members value is to work together, so that they can exert their greatest combat power, go further, and win higher honors for the college. Cutting off both arms like this to equalize the strength of the 2 teams is something only a fool would do, but that was the fact, and he couldn't help but not believe it. He was just a senior instructor in the college. Even if he didn't understand the operations above, he could only follow the arrangements. After being surprised, many students immediately became happy one by one and offered their hospitality enthusiastically. Welcome to join the second team. If you have anything to ask, just ask. Yes, 2 classmates, if you need help in the future, just ask. Yes, Dugu Yan and Ye Lingling, my name is Ding Yunkai. I'm glad you have joined me. My name is Zhang Tianyun. Welcome 2 classmates. In an instant, the male students couldn't wait to introduce themselves, hoping to leave an impression in front of the 2 beauties. In the past, Dugu Yan and Ye Lingling were both in the same team, and the male students were stronger than them, so they had no chance to express themselves in front of the goddess, but it was different now. They both wanted to be the first to win. There are already few female soul masters. The only female in their team is Su Ruoxi, who is also Wu Xing's girlfriend. They have nothing to do with them. But now 2 new girls have arrived. The most popular goddess in the past, how can they not be excited? Don't try your best to please. It's just a pity that they didn't even think about it. When Dugu Yan and Ye Lingling had no opponents in the academy, they could condescend from the first team to the second team and join them for no reason. Ignoring these male students who were trying to please her, Dugu Yan stepped over them and came to Wu Xing. She immediately raised her proud head and said, Wu Xing, now that Lingling and I have joined your team, aren't we welcome? Welcome, welcome. Wu Xing looked at the arrogant Dugu Yan and clapped his hands in confusion. This little girl actually persuaded her grandfather to let her and Ye Lingling join the second team. It has to be said that with Grandpa titled Douluo as his background, he can really do whatever he wants in the academy. He can be transferred out when asked and join when asked to join without any hesitation. When Dugu Yan saw it, he was very satisfied and hummed, you know how powerful this young lady is, right? Cowhide. Wu Xing gave a thumbs up. What can he say? This girl has made it look like the academy is run by her family, so that's not cool. At this time, Ye Lingling also pushed through the crowd and came to Wu Xing, smiling brightly at him. Wu Xing, we are teammates from today on. Please give me your advice in the future. Compared with Dugu Yan's arrogance, Ye Lingling is much more ethereal, which is pleasing to the eye. I didn't expect you to follow Dugu Yan's mischief. Wu Xing smiled and shook his head. Dugu Yan is a little girl with a relatively straightforward personality. It is not surprising that she would do such a thing, but it was a bit unexpected that the other party would not stop her and follow her to make trouble. Don't you think you don't look like me? A gentle smile suddenly appeared on Ye Lingling's lips, changing her usual elegant look. Yes. Wu Xing nodded. The person I like is here too. Ye Lingling's clear eyes flashed, her silver dress dancing in the wind, and she stared at Wu Xing. Fuck. Wu Xing's eyes widened when he heard Ye Lingling's words. This woman was confessing to him. Ye Lingling has always given him the impression of an ethereal and otherworldly temperament, with a ladylike demeanor, and such a beautiful woman actually confessed her love to him directly in front of so many people. The contrast was as big as it could be. Lingling. Dugu Yan also opened his mouth in shock, with a look of disbelief on his face. She didn't expect that the other party, who had always been elegant and calm, could do such a bold thing and reveal his feelings to Wu Xing directly in front of the student mentor. Su Ruoshi was also shocked. She could sense that Sister Lingling liked her man, but she didn't expect that she would do such an earth-shattering thing. This was not at all in line with her usual temperament. As for the male students who saw Dugu Yan ignoring them and coming to Wu Xing, they were already very envious and took the initiative to communicate with him. Now that Ye Lingling confessed to Wu Xing, her heart was like cracked glass, shattering all over the floor. As the mentor of everyone present, Yu Feng did not expect such a scene to happen. He opened his mouth without knowing what to say. Love is not prohibited in the academy, but this kid Wu Xing is so awesome. He has only been here for a short time and he has hooked up with the #1 female auxiliary soul master in the academy. It seems that that's not all. As the second auxiliary soul master, Su Ruoshi is this boy's girlfriend. Yu Feng couldn't help but sigh. Today's young people are so powerful. If he could be as good at pleasing women at his age, he wouldn't have to worry about finding several girlfriends. Of course, for them, especially those from Tianheng Royal Academy, it is not surprising to have several girlfriends and fall in love with several women. After all, their father and their family elders didn't have many wives or concubines. Chapter 65 Yu Tianheng's Challenge. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Are you serious? Wu Xing looked at Ye Lingling. Ye Lingling met Wu Xing's gaze and said seriously without fear, of course. The reason why she acted so boldly today, which was completely different from her past style, was also because Dugu Yan's words yesterday made her feel a sense of urgency. Now that she has decided, she never hesitates. As for breaking the hearts of the student suitors, so what does it have to do with her? Okay. Wu Xing accepted the other party's confession, but you know me, you won't be the only one. If you can't bear it, I advise you not to rush into the flames. The other party has already said this. As a man, how can he be timid? But one thing must be made clear. It's okay. Ye Lingling's serious expression revealed a smile, like a blooming begonia flower, very beautiful and charming. She naturally knew that Wu Xing would not be the only one, and there would even be more and more people around him in the future, but letting him say it in person was much better than those sanctimonious men, and she understands that although Wu Xing is carefree, he will treat his woman sincerely. Su Ruoshi is an example. Wu Xing's care for her can be described as meticulous. Even if it is a diary copy invitation card, this great opportunity can be given to the woman who is already him without hesitation. For this reason, he is better than many men. Instead of marrying a nobleman as a concubine in the future, why not pursue what you like? Everyone on the side had begun to doubt life after hearing the words of the two people. Zhang Minghui was even more impressed by Wu Xing. He could say so openly that he would not be the only one with him. The goddess also recognized him as a moth in the flame, and his love the reincarnation of the saint is not an exaggeration. But the shock was far from over, and the next scene made them even more dumbfounded. Looking at the two people who had confirmed their relationship in a blink of an eye, Dugu Yan couldn't sit still and said quickly, Wu Xing, here's me. Lingling has now officially announced that the other woman is the woman, but she has not yet received personal recognition. What are you? Wu Xing rolled his eyes. I also want to be your woman. Dugu Yan gritted his teeth and summoned up the courage to say. As soon as Dugu Yan finished speaking, there was a thumping sound, and all the students fell to the ground and wailed on the spot. What kind of magical power does Angkor have that it can be favored by two goddesses at the same time? Okay, if you're not jealous, I don't mind either. Wu Xing said with a smile. One accepted it, and the other two accepted it as well. With such a good thing, why would he refuse? I won't. Dugu Yan said anxiously, fearing that this guy would regret it. Yu Feng witnessed all this and didn't know what to say. He must have Wu Xing's charm so that he wouldn't be single now. Of course, he now understands that Dugu Yan and Ye Lingling suddenly joined the second team because of the boy in front of him, seeing that what was supposed to be a ceremony to welcome new team members into the team was about to turn into a large-scale blind date. Yu Feng coughed and performed his duties as a mentor. Ahem, okay. Now that everyone has gotten to know each other, let's prepare mimicry practice. The instructor spoke, and everyone recovered from their wails, but at this moment, a group of people in the distance hurriedly walked towards here. They were a group of students. At this time, each of these students had angry faces and evil spirits all over their bodies. It was obvious that they had bad intentions. Wu Xing, I want to duel with you. Tianheng came over with the members of the first team and challenged Wu Xing without saying a word. They had just returned from the Star Forest, and before they had rested, they were notified by their instructor that Dugu Yan and Ye Lingling had separated from their team and joined the second team. After careful questioning, they found out what happened. The two goddesses in their team were abducted by Wu Xing. Even a boy can't bear this kind of thing. How will he be viewed by the students in the future? You don't need to think about it. They will definitely say that the boys in your team are all a bunch of thin dogs, and even goddesses can be pried away by outsiders. What's more, he was already fascinated by Dugu Yan, so he couldn't accept such a thing happening. Dugu Yan looked at Tianheng, who came to him angrily. Without saying a word, he challenged Wu Xing and immediately shouted, Tianheng, what are you going to do? Yan, this is a matter between us men and has nothing to do with you. Tianheng glanced at Dugu Yan and then looked at Wu Xing again. Wu Xing, you only know how to hide behind women, right? Are you sure you want to challenge me? Wu Xing said with a smile in response to Tianheng's provocation. Tianheng was shocked when he saw Wu Xing's indifferent look. Thinking of the previous discussion between him and Dugu Yan, he still felt a little guilty, but for the sake of the man's face, he had to bite the bullet and said, Of course, if we win, Yan and Lingling will have to return to the same team. No. You are mistaken. After hearing Tianheng's words, Wu Xing stretched out his finger and shook it. They are not objects and cannot be used as bets. Besides, I have no right to decide their stay, even if they are my woman. Wu Xing's words immediately touched the hearts of Dugu Yan and Ye Lingling. The man who respected them so much was so handsome. Then what do you want? Tianheng frowned. If I lose, I will leave the Royal Academy's second team. If I win, don't bother me anymore. Wu Xing replied calmly. He didn't talk about the other party individually, but directly pointed at the other 5 people. When Tianheng heard this, his expression changed a few times, and finally he nodded and said, Okay, I promise you. Okay, Teacher Yu Feng is here, how about letting him be the referee? Wu Xing said again. Okay. Tianheng looked at Yu Feng and agreed. Teacher Yu Feng, you have also seen it. Please be a referee. Wu Xing saw this and said to Yu Feng with a smile. When Yu Feng heard this, he didn't think much and nodded. Okay, let's go to the ring. He is naturally happy to see the competition between students. As for whether Wu Xing can defeat Tianheng, he is still very confident. After all, he easily won the previous competition between Wu Xing and Dugu Yan. However, Tianheng may not necessarily dare to say that he will win against Dugu Yan. Another point is that he had some selfish motives and did not even report the most important things to the education committee, that is Wu Xing's soul power level, which has reached level 35. He was worried that if he mentioned Wu Xing's speed in improving his soul power level, he would be re-examined by the education committee to avoid unnecessary complications and be transferred back to the first team, and for the sake of his mentor's future, he kept it secret for the time being. There's no need to go to the ring, Mentor Yufeng. Let me and them compete here. Anyway, we don't have to waste much time. Wu Xing said with confidence. Regarding Wu Xing's arrogance, Yu Tianheng's face darkened. This guy didn't take himself seriously. He actually said it wouldn't take long. In that case, then I will learn a lesson about your blue-silver grass. Yu Tianheng roared angrily, and instantly activated his martial soul. The 4 optimal soul ring configurations of yellow, yellow, purple, and purple appeared under his feet, and he had already reached the soul sect. However, the most eye-catching thing is not the soul ring and soul power level, but the huge top-level beast spirit glowing with thunder and lightning behind him, the blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex. No, you made a mistake again. Wu Xing looked at Yu Tianheng who was waiting for him, waved his finger again, and said, I said I want you to come together. Chapter 66 Crush Team 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What? Yu Tianheng looked at Wu Xing in disbelief. This guy actually said that he wanted them to come together. Not to mention that he couldn't believe it, even the remaining 4 students from the first team looked in disbelief. The guy in front of him was so arrogant, let the 5 of them go together. Even the Soul King would not dare to be so arrogant, but you, a Soul Lord, are so arrogant. They admitted that the other party was powerful and could crush Dugu Yan, who had level 31 soul power with level 40 soul power, but if they wanted to deal with the 5 of them just like that, they were so drunk. Wu Xing, don't talk nonsense. Yufeng was also shocked by Wu Xing's words, and he quickly scolded him when he realized what he said. Wu Xing is the trump card in his hand, and he has to rely on the other party to make his future smoother, so how can he be allowed to mess up? He was convinced that Wu Xing could beat Yu Tianheng, but if one person had to challenge 5 people, no matter how optimistic he was about the opponent, he didn't think he could do it. Besides, if he loses the bet, he will leave the second team. As a referee, he cannot be partial in front of many students, so how can he agree to it? On the court, the only 3 girls who believed Wu Xing could do it were Su Ruoxi, Dugu Yan, and Ye Lingling. Teacher Yufeng, I'm not joking. Wu Xing replied, then looked at Yu Tianheng and others, and said calmly, as I said just now, you all come together, don't waste everyone's time. Yufeng was so angry at Wu Xing's words that he wanted to dissuade him, but the 3 women on the side had already spoken. Teacher Yufeng, I believe Wu Xing, he can handle it. Hearing what the 3 women said, Yufeng opened his mouth, but didn't say a word for a long time. What kind of ecstasy soup did this boy pour into them to make them fall in love without telling them and still trust each other so much? Originally, Yu Tianheng and others were still disdainful of Wu Xing's arrogance, but the 3 women's words were like a fuse, instantly detonating the explosive barrel. They originally came here for Dugu Yan and Ye Lingling, but now these 2 former teammates actually think highly of each other, but not them. They even think that the other party can deal with the 5 of them on their own, but no man can accept this. Since the other party is so arrogant, we can't let him take it lightly. Let's activate our martial arts and come together. Yu Tianheng was still a little guilty at first, but if the other party wants to show off, then it will be as he wishes. When the 4 team members heard the captain's words, they activated their martial spirits one after another, regardless of whether they would win or not. This battle is not only for face, but also for their own dignity. They must not lose. That's right. Wu Xing looked at the 5 people who activated their martial souls, then mobilized their soul power, and 3 dazzling 10,000-year soul rings rose from under their feet. This soul ring that subverts cognition is always amazing no matter when it is placed on it. No matter how many times it is seen, it can shock the soul master. I'm going to fuck. Wu Xing murmured a word, stepped out suddenly, and his whole body turned into an afterimage, rushing towards Yu Tianheng who was at the front. Seeing Wu Xing charging towards him, without the captain's orders, the 2 Shi brothers, Shi, had already used their soul skills, and 2 huge tortoise shells formed into a double helix shape and flew towards the attacking Wu Xing. Although they didn't know why the other party wanted to get close to him because he was just a control-type soul master, they were cautious and could not do what the other party wanted before they realized the other party's intentions. This is also the tacit understanding among their team. The results of 2 years of training are not just talk. Looking at the huge turtle shell whirling towards him, Wu Xing curled his lips slightly, his figure flashed, and in the next second he passed through the turtle shell and came to the front. What? Seeing Wu Xing's figure flashing through the defense line, the two Xue brothers shrank their pupils and hurriedly controlled their soul power, allowing the turtle shell to change its direction again, following behind and attacking. It's just that Wu Xing was very fast, and the two turtle shells didn't keep up. He had already arrived in front of Tianheng. Tianheng looked at Wu Xing, who appeared in front of him. He was shocked by the opponent's speed. At the same time, the first soul ring on his body flashed, and the condensed thunder dragon claws were shot out. The thunder dragon claw slapped Wu Xing, but it didn't make him feel anything, causing his expression to change. This is an afterimage. The thunder dragon claw passed through the opponent's body, like a transparent distorted space that changed a few times, and then dissipated directly in the next second. Watching Wu Xing disappear, when Tianheng wanted to find where the other person was, he heard a voice coming from behind him, and suddenly felt his hair standing on end. First one, out. Wu Xing's palm made an explosive sound. Before Tianheng could defend himself, he felt a huge force coming from behind. He flew backwards and hit the ground heavily. Captain! The team members who saw this scene all exclaimed, "Isn't this guy a control soul master? Why is he faster than the agility attack soul master?" Moreover, the opponent's blue-silver grass martial spirit was not used from beginning to end. He had defeated their captain solely by relying on his physical fitness. Wu Xing ignored their exclamations and disappeared in the next second, arriving in front of the two Xue brothers. The two brothers Mo and Mo looked at Wu Xing appearing in front of them and did not dare to hesitate. They immediately retracted into their tortoise shells, trying to block Wu Xing's attack with their hard tortoise shells, but the idea was beautiful, but the reality was cruel. The tortoise shell they were proud of, under Wu Xing's punches, only heard a crisp sound, and spread like a spider web on it. Oh, the tortoise shell was shattered, and a strong fist hit the Xue brothers. Like Tianheng, the two of them flew upside down like kites with broken strings. Second and third out. Wu Xing let out another sigh. How is this possible? The eyes of the other two members of the first team almost bulged out when they saw this scene. In just a moment, all three of them had lost their ability to fight. If this is the case, then forget it, but the opponent is obviously a soul-controlling master, so why is the speed faster than the agility attack system and the power higher than the power attack system? It's your turn. Wu Xing stared at the remaining two people with a smile on his lips. Seeing Wu Xingwang, both of them were frightened. Osluo subconsciously took a step back, and Yu Feng, who possessed the phoenix bell bird, unfolded his martial spirit and flew into the sky, but Wu Xing didn't care about their actions. As a hexagonal warrior, he transformed into a god of death and came to Oslo, and used the same method to kill the opponent. Then, with everyone stunned, he flew into the sky and slammed Yu Feng onto the ground. In an instant, in less than a minute, the 5 members of the team were completely defeated, unable to even fight back. Hiss. Seeing the battle that ended in the blink of an eye, everyone who came to their senses after a while took a deep breath. They were shocked that the battle ended so quickly. They were shocked that Wu Xing actually won with 1 against 5, and they were even more shocked that he captured Tianheng and the others so quickly. In fact, Wu Xing was able to capture 5 people so quickly because of his martial arts. He used several martial arts in this short period of time. In addition, the switching speed was too fast, and the second one had already been switched before the martial spirit emerged, resulting in no one discovering the reason. I just thought that he defeated Tianheng and the others just by relying on his physical fitness, and there is another point. Wu Xing uses the fastest agile attack spirit in the Douluo world, the most powerful attack spirit. With the blessing of the 10,000-year spirit ring, he can achieve astonishing speed and power. The explosive sound when attacking Tianheng was actually the same blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex as the opponent. Otherwise, how could we say that Wu Xing is a hexagonal warrior who combines tactics and tactics? Chapter 67 Great Ideal. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ahem. Tianheng and the others stood up from the ground with difficulty, holding their chests and their internal organs that were still trembling, and looked at Wu Xing with complicated expressions. the remaining team members also supported each other, with deep fear in their eyes. They now finally know why Dugu Yan and Ye Lingling chose to join the second team, and they also understand why the two women were fascinated by each other, and they did not hesitate to express their intentions to the education committee, and even asked Senior Dugu to come forward. "You are very strong. We will fulfill our bet and won't come to you again," Yu Tianheng said in a deep voice, with no reluctance in his tone, but only conviction. The opponent's power far exceeded his imagination. He was the most powerful soul master among his peers that he had ever fought against. The huge gap made him feel powerless. The two of them are not on the same level at all. Even the rumored golden generation of Wuhuan Palace may not be able to compare with them. Seeing Yu Tianheng's sincere attitude, Wu Xing couldn't help but smile. "You guys are not bad either. You don't need to comfort us, we are not that fragile." Hearing Wu Xing's answer, Yu Tianheng shook his head with a wry smile, and then asked, "Can I ask you something?" "Say it." Wu Xing said generously. "Why didn't you join our first team instead of staying in our second team?" Yu Tianheng looked at Wu Xing blankly, trying to figure out the reason. Previously, the education committee arranged for Wu Xing to join their first team, but he was rejected in the end. Now he just wants to ask for clarification, otherwise he may have inner demons in the future. Wu Xing did not expect that Yu Tianheng would ask such a question, and unexpectedly said calmly, "Because the second team will not qualify directly, and the strong ones come out step by step and never take shortcuts." His words were naturally nonsense and fabricated. His real purpose was of course to torture Tang San and prevent him from showing off, but when Yu Tianheng and others heard it, it was extremely shocking and extremely great. At the same time, it also made him feel relieved. At least the other party didn't choose not to join because they looked down on them. "Be taught." Yu Tianheng cupped his hands, and then left here with his team members. Since then, this matter has come to an end. At the same time, the members of the second team also recovered from the shock and looked at Wu Xing with admiration. It turns out that Angkor is so powerful that he can crush many members of a team with just a wave of his hand. No wonder the two goddesses are chasing Angkor, not just because of their great charm, but because they have strong strength as the foundation. As a mentor, Yu Feng looked at Wu Xing with joy after he woke up. Good boy, this guy brought him another huge surprise. With him in the second team, he didn't have to worry about being promoted and getting a raise. Marry mentor by Fume and reach the pinnacle of life. The more he looked at Wu Xing, the happier Yu Feng became. The more he looked at him, the happier he became. He was even more glad that he had made the right invitation in the Sunset Forest. Suppressing the excitement in his heart, Yu Feng patted Wu Xing on the shoulder. "Wu Xing, you performed very well." "Teacher, thank you." Wu Xing replied calmly. Seeing that the other party didn't look proud at all, Yu Feng was very satisfied, and then said to everyone, "Originally, this morning's class was to practice mimicry, but Wu Xing just competed with a team and consumed a lot of soul power, so he won't go for the time being. Now, free to move around. Of course, you can't neglect your cultivation because of this. Now, all of you are disbanded." Everyone responded. They were also smart and left here one after another to avoid becoming light bulbs. As the team disbanded and everyone left, Wu Xing and the three girls were the only ones left in the field. "Hee, Sister Yan Yan and Sister Lingling, you are welcome to join us." Su Ruoshi playfully smiled at the two women. The joining she mentioned not only meant joining the second team, but also meant joining Wu Xing and her big family. Dugu Yan and Ye Lingling naturally knew the meaning of Su Ruoshi's words. Their faces turned slightly red and they peeked at Wu Xing shyly. Wu Xing saw that the two women who had boldly confessed their love to him in front of a group of student mentors were now shy. He also found it interesting. He took their hands and walked towards the dormitory. Don't get me wrong, Wu Xing is not that impatient, he simply doesn't want to stay outside. Well, that's it. When the two women saw their hands being held, their faces turned red again, but they did not struggle and allowed the other to hold them. When they returned to the dormitory, which was still the dormitory where Wu Xing lived, Dugu Yan and Ye Lingling's faces turned even redder, and they could even clearly hear their beating hearts. "You don't really think I'm going to do something to you, do you?" Wu Xing, who noticed this, couldn't help but laugh. "No. Isn't it? A hint of surprise flashed across Dugu Yan's delicate red face. As soon as the team disbanded, this guy led her and Lingling to the dormitory without saying a word. No one would think too much about it. When Wu Xing heard this, he rolled his eyes at Dugu Yan and said angrily, "Is this the kind of man I am in your eyes?" "Yes." Dugu Yan responded in a low voice. Wu Xing was almost mad to death by the other party. He seriously doubted whether he was right or wrong in accepting the other party's love. There was no emotion at all. Compared with Su Ruoshi, he was not even a little bit worse. "If you think so, then if I don't take action, will I be sorry for your praise?" A smirk appeared on Wu Xing's face, as if he was about to take action. Seeing Wu Xing's malicious look, Dugu Yan showed what plastic sisters are, grabbed Ye Lingling and pushed him in front of Wu Xing. You should be with Lingling first." Wu Xing looked at Dugu Yan's movements with a funny look on his face, but without any delay he put his hands around Ye Lingling's waist, held her on his lap and sat down. Ye Lingling never expected that Dugu Yan would do this. "It was obviously the two of you who were fighting. What does it have to do with me? Why was I the one who got hurt in the end?" Smelling Wu Xing's unique masculine scent, Ye Lingling's ethereal pretty face could not help but feel hot, and her heart was beating violently. Feeling how hard the beauty in his arms was trying to maintain her persona, Wu Xing stretched out his hand and gently lifted her chin, asking her to look at him. Ye Lingling's face was red, her eyes were a little evasive, and she still didn't dare to look at Wu Xing. Although she acted very boldly before, she is a girl who has never been in love after all. How can she be compared with Wu Xing, an old scumbag, no, an old driver? She still dares to do it directly in front of Su Ruoshi and Dugu Yan. Just when Ye Lingling was extremely nervous, Wu Xing's voice came. "You are so shy that even your men don't dare to look at you. How can you compete with those women in the future?" That Wu Xingxiao looked at Ye Lingling in front of him and joked. Her body exuded a light fragrance, which was as intoxicating as the fragrance of crabapple flowers. Hearing Wu Xing's teasing, Ye Lingling's pretty face became even hotter. If it weren't for the other party's hand holding her, she might have buried her head in her chest. I won't argue with them," Ye Lingling answered while holding back her shame. It was just that her voice was very low, so low that you couldn't hear what she was saying unless you listened carefully. Hearing the meaning of Ye Lingling's words, Wu Xing smiled slightly, lowered his head and sniffed her soft silver hair, and said, "I won't let such a thing happen." He wants to be like those senior time travelers and those handsome readers, sitting among the beauties in the world, so how can he allow the backyard to catch fire? Chapter 68. You left me alone. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dugu Yan looked at Wu Xing and Ye Lingling's closeness, and her little mouth curled up slightly. Although she was the one who pushed Lingling to the other side just now, she could see that the two of them were having fun with each other, which somehow made her feel a little disgusted. She felt a little regretful. Yes, she wants this too. Su Ruoshi looked at him with a smile, without the slightest hint of jealousy. Only she could understand the terror of her man. She had long wanted to find her sisters to share the burden for her, and it seemed like she could have a good rest today. There was nothing she could do. Wu Xing's physical fitness was so strong that her body almost fell apart every time she struggled. Regarding this point, Wu Xing himself was actually aware of it. It seemed that the people in the Douluo Continent world were all hydrogen people as mentioned on the internet before he traveled, but it was not that exaggerated. Their physiques were probably several times stronger. This is why he didn't use soul skills. Just the increase brought by the martial soul could easily kill Yu Tianheng and the others instantly. "Hey, what's wrong with our Yanzi? He seems a little unhappy. Who made you angry?" Wu Xing couldn't help laughing when he noticed that Dugu Yan was pouting and looking at him with resentment. Ye Lingling, who was sitting on Wu Xing's lap, heard this and rolled his eyes slightly at the other party. Sister Yan Yan has a straightforward temper and can't hide her thoughts. You still teased her. He patted his clothes and was about to get up, but Wu Xing stopped him and refused to let him get up. Ye Lingling had no choice but to sit on the other person's lap and let him hold her. Dugu Yan glared at Wu Xing fiercely and said nothing, as if to vent his anger. This guy clearly knew what was going on, but he still came to make her angry. Seeing the arrogant Dugu Yan, Wu Xing burst into laughter again, patted his other leg and said, "Yanzi, come here. When Dugu Yan heard this, he was happy, but he quickly took it back and hummed, "What are you doing? I want to see my wild goose." A smile appeared on Wu Xing's face. He suddenly felt that Dugu Yan was not bad. Although he was not as sentimental as Su Ruoxi or as well-behaved and quiet as Ye Lingling, he had a different flavor. Hearing this, Dugu Yan felt a flash of sweetness in his heart, but on the surface, he walked over with a look of reluctance. Seeing Dugu Yan pretending to be reluctant to come to him, Wu Xing didn't care, grabbed him and sat on his lap. "What are you doing?" Dugu Yan said angrily. "Of course I'm watching you. How can I watch it if I don't sit down?" Wu Xing replied with a smile. Dugu Yan immediately blushed at Wu Xing's words and pouted, "That's unreasonable." "Ha!" Wu Xing shook his head. He could see that this little girl was so upright that she sat down without even using any force. Of course, Wu Xing won't point her out. After all, the other party is his woman. He has to save some face and can't bully her all the time. If you want to bully, wait until then. While Wu Xing was thinking, his eyes were looking up and down at the other party. Dugu Yan has short purple hair and looks very capable. She wears a short blue skirt with snake-like purple scales embedded in it, which is very suitable for her martial spirit. The green eyes were very strange, giving people a strange feeling. However, under the influence of the detoxification pill, although they still maintained their original pupils, there was no longer any toxin remaining in the body. Moreover, if you take the detoxifying pill produced by the system once, you will never be poisoned again, eliminating future troubles. She also exudes a light fragrance, which is different from Ye Lingling's. The fragrance is also mixed with a bit of poisonous and intoxicating smell. I don't know if it is caused by the martial spirit. Dugu Yan, who was being stared at carefully by Wu Xing, looked a little unnatural. His eyes were evasive and he kept moving at the same time, but it didn't matter if he didn't move. If he moved, Wu Xing would die. He could clearly feel the softness and touch of the other party's thighs, and with the hugs on his left and right, he had a shameful reaction. Noticing the strangeness on the snow-white thighs, Dugu Yan frowned and said, "Wu Xing, whatever is on your body, leave it to me." After saying that, he subconsciously reached out and grabbed it, trying to take it away. Dugu Yan's behavior made Wu Xing dumbfounded. He never expected that this girl would reach out boldly. If that was the case, then forget it, but the other party's confused look made him feel guilty. "You, don't move." Wu Xingrao was thick-skinned, and his face turned red at this moment. Dugu Yan's words made Ye Lingling lower his head. When he saw a certain bulge of Wu Xing, even a novice in love didn't know what was going on, and his face turned red in an instant. When Su Ruoxi heard this, she was stunned at first, then thought of something, and her face turned slightly red. The bad guy would bully her every night, whether it was his hands, mouth, or even his feet. Yeah. Dugu Yan didn't react at first, but suddenly thought of something. Su's hands suddenly let go, and his body jumped up from Wu Xing's lap. You are such a big bad guy. You are such a big pervert. Ugh, you will bully me." Dugu Yan pointed at Wu Xing and cursed angrily, feeling that his face was burning and he wanted to find a hole to crawl into. She was too shameless to do such an embarrassing thing in front of Lingling and Ruoxi, and she said it stupidly, looking at Dugu Yan, who was getting more and more excited as he talked and was about to cry. Wu Xing couldn't laugh or cry. This was beyond his control, not to mention that you were the one who moved first, otherwise there would be no reaction. But it is true to say that, you have to coax when you need to coax. After all, girls are thin-skinned. Okay, I'm a big bad guy, I'm a big pervert, I shouldn't bully you. He stood up and hugged the other person, holding Dugu Yan tightly in his arms. Wu Xing coaxed while stroking her back. Besides, doesn't this also mean that you are beautiful? If you were to attract your men, you wouldn't be able to do that with any other woman. It has to be said that Wu Xing is very good at coaxing girls. When Dugu Yan heard this, her originally aggrieved heart suddenly became slightly sweet. What woman doesn't like her man to compliment her on how beautiful she is? Especially the most intimate things. But how will I see Lingling and Ruoxi in the future? Although Dugu Yan forgave Wu Xing, she still beat him on the chest. Wu Xing looked at the duplicitous Dugu Yan, then looked at Su Ruoxi and Ye Lingling. a hint of slyness appeared on his face. "It doesn't matter, if they dare to laugh at you, I will help you bully them back." When Su Ruoxi and Ye Lingling heard this, they were instantly shocked. Yes. Dugu Yan was satisfied. After talking for a while, Dugu Yan was finally coaxed, and Wu Xing couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. "You guys talk first, husband, I will update my diary." After a while, Wu Xing said. "Husband." Dugu Yan and Ye Lingling were a little surprised when they heard this new word. Seeing the confusion of the two women, Wu Xing smiled and explained, "It means husband. In the world before I traveled, I was called husband." Hearing this, the two women felt shy again without coming, but they silently accepted this intimate title. Chapter 69 Comparable to Soul Saint. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing the three women gathering together and taking out copies of the diary after hearing that he had updated his diary, Wu Xing couldn't help but feel a little dumbfounded. Is the diary he wrote so beautiful? Every one of them couldn't wait to read, and they didn't even enhance the relationship between sisters. Shaking his head and putting his thoughts aside, Wu Xing opened the diary panel and started writing today's diary. "Good morning, all beauties, we meet again. As always, I started by saying hello to the diary holders before getting down to business, and for this, beauties in many worlds have long been accustomed to it. A new day, a new beginning. However, nothing happened around me from yesterday to now, and there is nothing worth sharing. The only thing you may be interested in is that my team has changed 2 players. Of course, these 2 team members have mentioned to you before that they are diary holders. They joined the second team from the first team." As Wu Xing's updated text unfolded, many beauties were shocked. They already knew that the owner of the diary would be Xiang Momo, and they had also envied Dugu Yan and Ye Lingling for getting close to Wu Xing so easily, but later the other party revealed his whereabouts and everyone treated them rationally. In addition, they rarely talked about the 2 women after that, so they gradually forgot about them. Unexpectedly, these 2 women finally took action. They did not think that the 2 women had no other hidden agenda when they joined the diary owner. It cannot be said that there are no diary holders who can resist the temptation of Wu Xing's big cake without being tempted, but they are definitely very few. Especially Bibi Dong couldn't sit still when he saw this, and immediately called Ling Yuan. "Ling Yuan, you go to Tiando City again and stay with Wu Xing from now on and be her protector." "Yes, Your Majesty." Ling Yuan was happy in her heart, but she didn't show it on her face, and said respectfully, she missed that little man very much. She thought she would have to wait until the finals of the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite Competition to see this little guy. Unexpectedly, the Pope assigned such a task to herself. She also knew what the Pope meant, which was just to be a protector and at the same time keep an eye on the owner of the diary to prevent him from being abducted by an intentional woman. But Bibi Dong never expected that her original intention was to be able to keep track of Wu Xing's first movements through Ling Yuan's friend list. But in the end she lost her subordinates and elders. Her subordinate, who is about the same age as herself, actually eats young grass. To be honest, I couldn't believe it at first. After all, the Soul Master competition will be coming soon. How could the Academy arrange it like this? Does it not want results? I have to say that there is a titled Douluo and a grandfather who is a guest of the royal family. He can do whatever he wants. I have learned a lot. Wu Xing, you bastard. Dugu Yan showed his snake-like fangs fiercely and glared at Wu Xing. This guy just bullied her, but he also said that about himself. What would the diary holders think? Do you think she is misbehaving in the academy with the help of her grandfather, who is a titled Douluo? Seeing Dugu Yan glaring at him, Wu Xing was confused. What's wrong? You bullied me again. Dugu Yan said angrily. Why did I bully you? Wu Xing was speechless. Then why did you say that in your diary? Dugu Yan pointed to the latest line of words in the small notebook in his hand. Isn't it? Wu Xing took a look and smiled. Anyway, we won't be able to do this in the future anyway. Dugu Yan also knew that what Wu Xing said was the truth, so she simply showed her girlish nature. Looking at Dugu Yan's arrogant look, Wu Xing said with a smile, okay, I won't write like this in the future. From now on, I'll just write about our kiss. You dare. Dugu Yan heard the words, his voice was sharp, his face turned red, and he was even more nervous inside. If this guy told what happened just now, she would be really embarrassed to see anyone. I'm kidding you. Wu Xing was a little dumbfounded. This girl is really silly and cute. Even if you wanted to, I wouldn't be able to write it down. I don't have that hobby, even if all the diary holders are beauties. Of course, if there is a threesome or foursome, there must be my teacher. He is very happy to do such a thing. Thinking of this, Wu Xing subconsciously glanced at Su Ruoxi and Ye Lingling. Sensing Wu Xing's hidden gaze, Su Ruoxi and Ye Lingling trembled again, always feeling that their men were having some bad intentions. After the commotion, Wu Xing started writing again. In addition, I took away the two goddesses from the first team. Bah, no, they joined the second team. Those male students couldn't sit still and came to me one after another, insisting on challenging me. As you all know, adolescent boys are full of hormones. How can they swallow the goddess in their team leaving the team? And I became the biggest victim. It's true that when someone is sitting at home, disaster comes from the sky. I have offended so many students without doing anything. How easy is it for me? Bah! When the girls saw this, they immediately said, "Why do you mean you are the biggest victim, that if you don't give them a chance, will they join the second team? It's obvious that your thoughts are not pure in the first place. Why don't I beat you into a pig's head? What else do we know that boys in adolescence are full of hormones? When did we know that you men are the only ones who think like this? You are all animals with big pig hooves and thinking in the lower body." Many beauties, whether in the Douluo world or other worlds, all united the front to attack the owner of the diary. Alas, fortunately, I am more skilled and managed to cope with it with great difficulty. Otherwise, you may not see my update today. When Wu Xing opened his eyes and told lies, Su Ruoxi, Dugu Yan, and Ye Lingling all opened their mouths. The power of 9 cows and 2 tigers. Hard to win. I'm afraid you have some misunderstanding about these terms. It was obvious that he had defeated Yu Tianheng and the others in less than a minute, but now he was complaining and asking for comfort in his diary. Shameless. Dugu Yan sighed in his heart. This guy has us, and he is still thinking about those beauties. But having said that, I have to thank them for letting me know where my current strength is. The soul power of level 35 is at least as strong as the Soul Emperor. The physical quality should be stronger than that of the Soul Emperor, possibly close to the Soul Saint, which is very nice. What? Seeing Wu Xing saying that his level 35 soul power reached the strength of a Soul Emperor, and his physical fitness was even closer to that of a Soul Saint, all the Douluo beauties were shocked. Even the 3 girls Su Ruoxi, Dugu Yan and Ye Lingling are no exception. They knew that Wu Xing was very powerful and might have the strength of a Soul King, but they never thought that he would be a Soul Emperor or even a Soul Saint. Soul Master is comparable to Soul Saint. This is too scary. Once again subverting their common sense. Moreover, the speed at which the opponent's soul power increased, from level 30 to level 35 in 1 month, was unprecedented. Calculating this, I am afraid that within a few years, I will be able to become a title Douluo. Chapter 70 Ren Xue licks a lollipop. You are listening at novelfull.audio. That's all for today's update. I find that sometimes, when nothing happens around me, I don't know what to write and my head hurts. It would be great if there was a video creation function, and I would designate some big scenes for you to open your eyes. However, if I remember correctly, this diary is the 30th one I have written. I don't know if it will be upgraded after the diary is updated. You beauties can look forward to it. Wu Xing stopped writing and communicated with the system to receive the reward, feeling a little hopeful. After updating the diary for the week before, the system was upgraded to level 2, and today is exactly 1 month. Ding, it is detected that the host has updated a diary, and you will receive a reward of Zhuyan Dan X10, Beauty Pill. It can maintain your appearance at its peak throughout your life until death. Zhuyan Dan. Wu Xing was a little surprised to hear the reward, but he didn't show too much excitement. How can I say this thing? Saying it is precious doesn't necessarily mean it is precious. Saying it is not precious is not bad. As for why, let alone other worlds, taking the Douluo world as an example, this thing is useless. As long as the strength reaches the level of a title Douluo, you can mobilize your soul power to protect your appearance. Looking at Qian Daolu, Bo Saishi, and Tang Chen knew that Dugu Bo looked like an old man because of poisoning, which was enough to show that Zhu Yan Danran was not the same. He didn't think that the beauties in the Douluo world who had copies of the diaries would not be able to achieve the level of title Douluo in the end, but to say it is completely useless is a bit unjustifiable. After all, for some of the diary beauties in the world, Zhu Yan Dan is still very precious to them. Ding. The detection host diary has been updated continuously for 1 month, the diary system has been upgraded, and the current level is LV3. The LV3 diary system opens the following functions. 1. Open the trading function, and the rewards obtained from the diary can be traded freely, only for diary copy holders. 2. In order to facilitate transactions, the trading platform is opened. Details can be viewed in the diary panel. Cross-dimensional transactions are not currently available in each world. Sure enough, the diary system has been upgraded. Wu Xing was not too surprised when he heard the system prompts. According to the routine of so many system novels he had read, it would be either a month or a year. Now it takes 1 month to upgrade, but it may take a year before the next time. Regarding the newly opened diary function, Wu Xing said that he could understand it. After all, for each diary copy holder, the rewards for checking in after reading the diary are random, and these things are not necessarily what he needs. In this way, internal circulation can be achieved through face-to-face and trading platforms. Honey, the diary system has been upgraded. Su Ruoshi asked in surprise when Wu Xing lamented the humanity of the system. Yes. Wu Xing nodded and looked at the 3 girls. Su Ruoshi, you can check it out first. Hearing this, the 3 women nodded, then opened the function interface on the diary and checked it. Wu Xing was no exception. He opened the diary panel, clicked on the trading center, and a platform similar to that in the game popped up, except that it was now empty. In order to test this trading function, Wu Xing selected a fairy grass in the diary warehouse, marked the price of 100,000 gold soul coins, and clicked the put button, but a line of text popped up. Ding. It is not a system reward and cannot be put on the shelves. Well, this trading platform only allows buying and selling rewards produced by the system. Ding, you have successfully put Alpine Lollipop X1 on the shelves, priced at 1 gold soul coin. After selecting the lollipop, it was indeed prompted that the listing was successful, and a picture of a lollipop also appeared on the empty panel. After clicking on the picture, the details of the lollipop popped up. Note, a kind of candy from the world before the diary owner traveled through time. It has a sweet taste and full texture. It can be eaten after being opened. Seeing this scene, Wu Xing instantly understood how to use the trading platform. Ding, the Alpine Lollipop X1 you listed has been sold, and 0.95 gold soul coins have been transferred to your diary account. Suddenly, he found a red 1 word appeared in the lower right corner of the platform panel. Wu Xing clicked it curiously and saw this line of information popping up. Damn it, this system also charges a handling fee. In a moment, Wu Xing came to his senses and immediately cursed the system for being shameless. What he offered was obviously 1 gold soul coin, but he only got 0.95 gold soul coins. At the same time, when Wu Xing was scolding the system for being a cheat, in the palace of the crown prince of the Tianheng Empire, Ren Xue's beautiful eyes flashed a few times as she looked at the strange candy in her hand. This is probably the candy that the owner of the diary put on the shelf, and only he has such a reward. Following the eating instructions given in the diary copy, I unwrapped the nylon cloth and put it in my mouth without much hesitation. Sweet. Very sweet. There is also a rich milky flavor. Soon, Ren Xue fell in love with the taste of this candy. The beautiful red lips opened slightly, and she took the lollipop into her mouth again, and from time to time she extended her tongue to suck it. The eyes are slightly narrowed, the eyelashes are shining, and combined with the stunning face, it explains what it means to be beautiful like jade, but no one can appreciate such a tempting picture. After a while, she found a prompt to update the diary. She paused slightly, grabbed the lollipop in her hand, and opened the copy of the diary. Dear beauties, the system has indeed been upgraded and the trading function has been opened. In this way, everyone can get what they need through the diary trading platform. It's a pity that this can only be done in separate worlds temporarily. Of course, it should be possible to open cross-dimensional trading in the future. But one thing that is cheating is that this system has to deduct a handling fee. I just tested it and deducted 5% of the amount. I suspect that if cross-border transactions are opened one day, the fees deducted may be even higher. Also, may I ask, who bought my candy just now? I have to say that you are so fast. I bought it for you within 2 seconds of it being put on the shelf. When Ren Xue saw this, she lowered her head slightly and looked at the shiny lollipop in her hand. A smile appeared on her face and she stretched out her tongue to lick it again. In the dormitory, Dugu Yan saw Wu Xing's updated text and asked quickly, "Candy?" "What candy, Wu Xing? What did you sell just now?" "Lollipop." After Wu Xing answered, he didn't forget to glance at Su Ruoshi, with a smirk on his face. When Su Ruoshi saw the evil smile on her man's face, she suddenly thought of what had happened before, and her face suddenly turned red. "What is that?" Dugu Yan asked again without noticing the interaction between Wu Xing and Su Ruoshi. Wu Xing did not explain, but took out 3 from the diary warehouse, and then gave 1 to each of them. "This is it. It is a kind of candy from my hometown. If Ruoshi, teach them how to taste it, there will be a prize for teaching them." Looking at the smiling Wu Xing, Su Ruoshi's face turned even redder. Of course she understood the meaning of her man's words, this bad guy. Just when Su Ruoshi was teased so hard by Wu Xing that she couldn't lift her head, Dugu Yan said something stupidly, which almost prevented her from breaking through her defense. "Sister Ruoshi, is this difficult to learn?" Dugu Yan tilted his head and looked at Su Ruoshi. Su Ruoshi opened her mouth and finally spit out, "It's difficult." "Isn't it difficult? There are so many things to pay attention to."